Welcome back to our Holy Week devotions as you journey with us and we journey together through Jesus' last week. I'm going to read for you today from Matthew 27. That's where we are. We're going to Matthew 27 and we're starting at verse 27. It says this: The governor's soldiers led Jesus into the fortress and brought together the rest of the troops. They stripped off Jesus' clothes and they put a scarlet robe on him. They made a crown of thorn branches and placed it on his head, and they put a stick in his right hand. The soldiers knelt down and pretended to worship him. They made fun of him and they shouted, "Hey, you, King of the Jews!" Then they spit on him. They took the stick from him and they beat him on the head with it. You know, years ago, I went to see The Passion, the Mel Gibson film, The Passion. And I remember sitting in the darkened cinema, and when the film got to this particular place, I had to close my eyes. I couldn't watch it. It was just too painful to watch what was happening to Jesus. It's interesting how quickly things can change, isn't it? Just a couple of days ago, we were thinking about Jesus riding into Jerusalem on that donkey at Palm Sunday, where people welcomed him as king, where people put their coats down and their cloaks down in front of him, where they waved palm branches, where they welcomed their Messiah. And then just days later, we find him in this place. Look what the soldiers did to him. They stripped him. They put a scarlet robe on him. They put a crown of thorns in his head. They put a stick in his right hand. And then they pretended to worship him. And there's a stark contrast, isn't there, between the worship of the crowd on Palm Sunday and the pretense of that worship of the soldiers in the passage that we've just read today. You know, I was thinking about this and I was thinking about the fact that right in front of the soldiers, there was the Son of God right in front of them. You know, Jesus, fully human and fully God, fully divine, fully man. There was God standing in front of them. There was the one who had called them into being. There was the one who had spoken life into everything that was. And now he was standing in front of these soldiers, and look how the soldiers behave with him. You know, Jesus could have called 10,000 angels to come and to rescue him in that moment, but he didn't. And the reason he didn't was because what was happening to Jesus then wasn't about Jesus. What was happening to Jesus then was about you and was about me. What Jesus was enduring then was what we should have endured. The shame that was brought on him then, the shame that he endured, the mocking that he endured from the soldiers, that he endured because of you and because of me, not because of anything that he had done. You know, sometimes I think we sanitize those popular stories and familiar stories in the Gospels. We sanitize the Christmas story. We make it all pretty and we don't make it the cold reality that it really was. And we sanitize the Easter story as well. We try to push the bits away that somehow make us feel much more uncomfortable. There's a song that we used to sing in White, we sung it a long time ago and maybe only a couple of times, but it talks about, can you let me see it like I saw it the first time? Let me forever see what Jesus did for me the way I saw it the very first time when I came to faith, when I realised who Jesus was. Do you know the thing about what was going on with the soldiers then too was that these guys didn't recognise who was standing in the midst of them. They didn't recognise that this was Jesus. It was the Messiah that was in front of them. And that started me thinking too, how often would we behave differently if we knew that it was Jesus that was standing in front of us? How often have I said things or done things or thought things that, had it been Jesus standing in front of me, or had I even realised that Jesus was in the room, that I wouldn't have done and I wouldn't have said? In some ways, I feel really sorry for the soldiers here, because the soldiers didn't know what was going on. They didn't realise. You know, my prayer today is that we really would see this like it was the first time we ever saw it. Let's pray together. Jesus, we thank you that you did all of this for us, that you paid it all for us, that you took upon yourself the things that should have been doled out to us. Jesus, thank you is not enough. I pray that as we journey with you, Jesus, in this Holy Week, that you would take us to that place where we see things like we saw them the very first time. And Jesus, if we've never seen them before, that I pray that you would show us them in the reality of how they really were and what that means for each of us. Jesus, thank you. But thank you's never enough. Amen.